Gegeen Zanabazar is probably one of the most notable and influential figures whose birth, decisions, and creations have shaped Mongol history, the Mongol's mind, and even the present-day lives of Mongols after Genghis Khan. Therefore, in this 7 minutes or 2,000 words, I, Hirlang, perhaps no one except him himself cannot emphasize enough the significance of his existence. But here's how I would try. In 1635, in Tushetang Amak, one of the 3 Amaks of Mongolia, now part of present-day Urhanga, a prominent Mongol Hang of the time, Gomtorch, who is a royal descendant of Altangorag, the royal blood of Genghis Khan, had a wife who was pregnant with Gegeen Zanabazar, the high saint, the supreme spiritual Zanabazar. It is said that during that year, nature itself showered love upon humanity. Crops flourished, animals thrived, and the world saw an abundance like never before. The people were filled with joy and peace, a direct result of pure existence of Zanabazar in his mother's womb. When Zanabazar was born, Gegeen Zanabazar went to his father and told him that his son was no ordinary child. He declared, "A great saint has been born into your home, praised by everyone. This child will be a light of wisdom and hope for humanity, and therefore I give him my title Gegeen." The title Gegeen means pure light. By the age of 3 or 4, if we include the time he was in his mother's womb, Zanabazar could recall every word from this prayer book, the Japsan Dutch prayer, a praise of Manjusri, without ever having been thought before. If you think of this now, it may sound mystical, magical, too spiritual, and his intellectual being beyond our comprehension, because it is. At just 4 years old, he was officially declared under Gegeen, High Saint Zanabazar, the spiritual leader of Halch Mongol. At that time, Mongolia was divided between Zungar and Halch. Zanabazar then traveled to Tibet when he studied under the 5th Lama, Namang. The Dalai Lama recognized him as the 16th incarnation of Jeftsum Dam Hodakt, one of the original 500 disciplines of Buddha. The Tibetan Buddhist hierarchy also granted him the Bogd Gegeen, meaning highest enlightened saint. The Dalai Lama said to him, "You're already a genius. Now go back to Mongolia and create." Therefore, let's talk about his creations. In the world of art, if someone has even a small understanding of the field, they have likely heard of Zanabazar. His masterpieces are unmatched, perfect in every sense and full of mystery. How could one create in such a way that it transcends not just paintings or sculptures, but entire cities, places, scripts, and schools, things that changed the course of history? In the mid-1680s, in Hulhidaj, his retreat outside of Erdenzu, also known as Баясгалан Даргалаг Ордон or Happy Secluded Place, Zanabazar created some of his greatest works, including Vajratara, Nogon Darich, Green Tara, Tagan Darich, White Tara, and 1685, the 21 Taras, the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, the Walking Maitreya, and many others. These works were not just religious masterpieces, they were also a representation of human physical perfection, centered among and centered on Mongolian features and culture. Therefore, it's different and it's new and it's innovative. There is a little controversy. Before the spread of Buddhism, Mongolians followed their own traditional belief system, Bomurgal. There was a widespread belief that Buddhism, with its emphasis on peace, non-violence, compassion, might weaken the Mongols, especially in battlefield. Some feared that adopting Buddhist principles could make Mongols hesitant or unwilling to fight fiercely on horseback, therefore weakening the Mongol. But it wasn't the outside forces like religion, maybe Buddhism or the Manchus, that is weakening or destroying the Mongols. It was the Mongols themselves who were engaged in constant internal conflict. The true challenge for Mongolia was the Mongols destroying each other. This is where Gegeen Zanabazar came in. He laid the foundation for a more peaceful society through Buddhism without diminishing the Mongol spirit or strength. Also, Zanabazar's relationship with Manchu Qing dynasty, especially with the Emperor Kangxi, as he is the spiritual teacher of the king, was being questioned. Maybe one or two people called him betrayer, but I think and I believe Zanabazar's relationship with Qing should be viewed in a more nuanced light. While he did work with the Qing court, he used his position to protect Mongolia's interests. For example, Zanabazar secured legal protections that prevented Qing officials from owning land in Mongolia and ensured that Mongol land would not be taxed by the Qing. In this way, Zanabazar used his influence not only to preserve the spiritual practices of his people, but also to safeguard their political autonomy. On that note, one very important, very notable creation is Soyam script. With his 30 years of meditation after finding the first letter, he ultimately created the Soyam script, which all Mongolians, Tibetans, and Indians can read and communicate with while maintaining their own uniqueness. The one reason maybe push for this to happen is of course connection through shared religious practices and also separating Manchu Qing dynasty away from Mongolian mind, away from our own thinking practices. Because Manchu people adopted and copied Mongolian traditional top-to-bottom script, that might look like we are, the Mongolians, are more superior, original, but on the other hand, through language, everything merges. Therefore, Soyam is a politically, culturally, religiously extraordinary creation of this high saint, of the high saint Zanabazar, Gegeen Zanabazar. Gegeen Zanabazar is not just a saint, he is the high saint of Mongolia, the supreme spiritual leader and the protector of soul. Starting from the day he was in his mother's womb, he brought peace, love upon humanity. Thank you guys for listening, and it was my great pleasure learning about him, learning about my own culture and what he brings to this society, to this earth, was much, much larger and much, much more than I expected before. Thank you.